All right, guys, two types of fat we're going to talk about today and how to reduce fat. Subcutaneous fat, which is the fat beneath the skin. So that's the fat that you could pinch, right? Try to grab that fat. That's subcutaneous fat, meaning beneath the skin. We're not so concerned with this because that is a lot easier to come off. That's a lot easier to get rid of. Most people can get rid of subcutaneous fat a lot easier. There's another type of fat that we're more concerned about, which is your visceral fat, which covers your viscera, so beneath and inside of your organs. And that you cannot pinch. You cannot go and grab your visceral fat, because that is deep within the abdomen. And this is a dangerous type of fat, and a lot of people don't realize they have it, or they mistaken the two when they do their body fat percentages and things like that. So I have this type of problem where I store more fat within my viscera. I can get my arms really shredded. I can get everything really tight, my legs, everything very vascular, but then I tend to hold a bit more fat within my viscera. And like I said, this is very dangerous for a number of reasons. One, because it's close to your organs, right? Your vital organs. It's close to nerves, which travel to your liver. And they release different hormones, different chemicals and different inflammatory properties that can cause danger within your body and cause diseases, essentially. And that's how a lot of diseases occur from the viscera and visceral fat. We're more concerned with this for the most part because a lot of people, they're not at a body fat, they don't realize they have that. You can see, people with pot bellies, really big bellies, that's visceral fat. And you always wonder why, people call it a beer gut and things like that. And that's, that's not the case. That's not what it is. I mean, drinking beer or excessive amounts of alcohol probably don't help the problem, but that's not from drinking beer, essentially. So what we're mostly concerned with is how to get rid of this, how to get rid of the visceral fat, because it is dangerous, and it can cause a lot more problems than just being fat and looking like shit. It causes problems such as diseases, inflammation within the body, and other things like that. And obviously no one wants to have a beer gut or a beer belly. So based off of some studies, I'm going to give you some tips that you can utilize. For the most part, a couple of markers and a couple things to note is stress related. So you want to minimize your stress. I know this is very hard, but even for myself, this is very difficult. But what you want to do is reduce stress in your life, when your stress levels increase, you're going to increase your cortisol levels, which is going to lead to storing more visceral fat. So we want to reduce this, we don't want to have this problem where your cortisol levels are elevated for too long. Cortisol is a good thing, it's a hormone in the body. Don't mistake that like a lot of people do and say, well, cortisol is bad, testosterone's good. Everything is good in balance, okay? So we want to make sure that we have a good balance of all your hormones, but we don't want to have chronic elevated cortisol levels within the body, because then that causes more issues, leads to diseases, leads to storing more fat within your viscera. So that's one thing, guys. And a couple ways to do that: increase your sleep, first and foremost. As soon as I start doing that, the fats start melting off. Mitigating your insulin levels, so not consuming exogenous amounts of sugar and way too many carbohydrates, and having more pro-inflammatory foods, anti-inflammatory foods, and less pro-inflammatory foods. So we don't want to have a lot of foods that are processed and things like that. Mind you, I do believe in flexible dieting. I do believe including those, but like I've said numerous times, I'm a bro dieter. I typically like to eat chicken, fish, vegetables, things like that when I'm dieting, because I like to feel more satiated. I like to work on anti-inflammation in my body, because I have this issue. And when I get really shredded, it does matter if I have a bit more fat in my midsection. For the average person, probably not, but for me it does, and I notice it when I get really shredded, that having certain types of foods are more advantageous. So doing things like that, that's going to help reduce cortisol and inflammation in the body. Sprints are by far the best thing to help with your visceral fat, including sprints in your training, you know, not for too long. I have videos on sprints, but, you know, keep the cardio in. Make sure you're doing high intensity interval training with those sprints. Resistance training helps as well. So, you know, don't shy away from the weights. Keeping your workouts short, guys. So keeping the cortisol level minimized. You know, we don't want to have chronic elevated cortisol levels. So, you know, working out for 2 hours and things like that is probably not the best thing. You know, if you do need to do 2-a-days or things like that, I've made a video on that. I do believe in splitting your workouts up so that you're not in the gym for so long. You know, testosterone levels are elevated at about the 15 to 30 minute mark within your workout. So you don't want to be in the gym significantly longer than that. An hour is fine. Once you start passing the hour mark, it gets a bit too much, guys. So that also helps as well. Obviously, proper nutrition. Like I said, anti-inflammatory foods. So having your vegetables, having, you know, proper supplementation, your fish oils, things like that. Fish oils are anti-inflammatory. Having your vitamin C, your vitamin D, your magnesium, these types of supplements that actually do help. You know, I do believe in utilizing supplementation and nutrition to optimizing your hormone levels. And the better you get at making your hormones optimal in your body, the better you're going to get at reducing visceral fat and fat altogether. You know, some people store more fat in their obliques, in their legs, things like that. So those are problems with estrogen, with insulin and things like that. Like I said, this primarily and predominantly is a cortisol issue. So, you know, try to minimize stress in your life. You know, a couple things that I like to do. I like to foam roll. I like to, you know, get a massage, things like that, and read or just sit down and watch a movie. That helps a lot. So, you know, the sleep, like I mentioned, if you guys have a hard time sleeping, you know, have the magnesium. That's going to help you before you go to bed. You can even include some melatonin and things like that, supplements like that, and serotonin, that will help you sleep a bit better. Don't become reliant and dependent on it, but they definitely do help before you go to bed. You know, having those, staying away from excessive amounts of coffee, guys. Coffee's great. There are a number of benefits. I have a book somewhere here on the benefits of coffee, and there are many. But you know, having too much caffeine is not a great thing. Your processed sugars, like I said, your diet pops, your aspartame, things like that, probably not the best option when you're a few weeks out from a show, or probably not the best option when you are a few weeks out from a photo shoot, when you need to get that extra bit crisp, because those are pro-inflammatory. So we want to minimize those, so that we can optimize your hormones, especially for people that are natural. You know, when you're natural, obviously making sure that you're regulating your hormones is a lot more important than people that are not natural, that are supplementing hormones in their body. So those are a couple tips for you guys. If you guys have any other questions, make sure you comment below. I want to start making a shitload more videos helping you guys out reach your goals, because it's my vision and my dream and my goal to help educate and inspire people on a different scale, rather than working primarily with people just on a one-on-one basis. I want to be able to help more people around the world. You know, we are always busy. Hammer Fitness, you know, we're always have a wait list with clients. So I want to be able to help the people that I cannot help personally and work with on a one-on-one basis. So make sure you spread the word, share the video, comment, like. As always, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that, at Amer the Hammer, Team Hammer. Peace.